Joe Crain is a meteorologist for WICS TV. It's a Sinclair station. It's an ABC affiliate in Springfield. He's a popular guy. He's not the only weather person on the station, but he used to be on radio in town. He's been on the station since 2004. I believe he's the longest on-air, or was the longest on-air personality at the local station that serves the market that includes Springfield, nearby Decatur, and Champaign, Illinois. And he was popular, but on Wednesday, and I think it was June 5th, during the morning broadcast, they have a morning show from I think it's 5 to 7 a.m. He announced that they were going to have a code red weather warning. This is something that the station has been doing. Apparently, many Sinclair broadcast group stations are using this designation if some bad weather is on the way. It is different from National Weather Service warnings. And what Joe Crain said was, me and my colleagues have been getting a lot of angry comments in person and online from people in the community who don't like us using code red all the time. And he went on for, it turned out, more than 2 minutes saying, this is really not the best system, but we are doing it because we work for a corporation and the corporation wants us to do this. So that's what he said, and he went on and on. He said it doesn't really pinpoint bad weather, so we might be warning you when there isn't any bad. He talked about how big the area covered by the TV station signal is, and how there might be something in Effingham, Illinois, which is like an hour away from Springfield, some bad weather down there. You may not see bad weather, but we say code red, and we don't really mean to do this. We hear you. He mentioned that, again, they work for a corporation, that the station, however, is still licensed on the public airwaves and is supposed to serve the public good and for, safety and community goodness. And he said, keep those cards and letters coming. He also then had a little banter with the anchor person on the show toward the end of the segment. And the anchor person said, well, at least, Joe, we're not going to have more code reds after today or something like that. And Joe said, yeah, well, I just wanted to get that out there. The situation is we work for a corporation and we may not agree with them all the time, but we have families to feed. And when they say jump, we say how high. And when they say code red, we say it. So for all of that, he disappeared from the air and people wondered what happened. There was no confirmation for several days until just late this week, where it became known that the company did say that Joe Crain is no longer with the station. As we speak here, I'm not exactly sure what his next step is. But what was interesting, he's a nice person. He's, again, known around town. And TV has a great reach, the local TV market. A lot of people have it on in their kitchens in the morning, clearly. And within a day, there were more than 15,000 people who had either signed an online petition to save Joe Crain or had become liked a site on Facebook, which had for a time a name that was kind of negative on the TV station, and it changed to basically, save Joe Crain also and do the weather right. So you had thousands of people. Just late this week on Thursday, there was a farmer's market at our state fairgrounds, which is a regular event from which Joe Crain announces and does weather. And about 150 people, many with signs saying, hashtag, code red is dead, stuff like that, showed up to support him, about 150 people. In the interim, Rick Lips, the general manager of the local station, went on the air a few days after all of this occurred and before we actually knew what happened to Joe Crain, and said, we have heard you and we're no longer going to use the code red designation, but we are going to use something called weather warn. We'll just rename it. I have not yet heard a weather warn. And I don't know what the reaction will be, but it's just kind of interesting. One of the things Joe Crain said in his initial 2 minutes was the National Weather Service pinpoints problems well. They have a color-coded and number-coded system for warning you about bad weather. That's a good system. And he basically said he wished the station had done that. So we've had this progression of events. I should note that the day that he came out with these complaints about code red, he also, there was bad weather that afternoon and some trees were uprooted and things like that in the area. So it was actually a day with bad weather, which doesn't always happen on those. So it's been a very interesting controversy. It speaks to the power of local TV, but also perhaps some negative reaction to national corporate ownership of stations. Media gets that from time to time. The Sinclair, has done it. They have received some criticism in certain media circles for kind of being a conservative media outlet, and that just manifests itself sometimes in their news programming. They have, for example, former Fox News personality Eric Bolling doing a weekly show, and they ran a minute-long segment of President Trump recently bashing the media as fake news. All the big media outlets are fake news, and they just ran a full minute of that, and it turned out it's to promote a show that Sinclair is producing, and they're now running, Sunday nights on their station. So some people have been upset with that, despite the fact that this is really an area of the country that I think went slightly for President Trump last time. But in the middle of it, people love their weatherman, and Joe Crain's a nice guy.